Well, it's Saturday night and we're podcasting, Kev.
It's special.
It is
And we're
special.
wearing the same hats, and I
Yep.
think it's because we're superstitious, along with the rest of Seattle.
This hat has been through a week. Let me just tell you, it's been through a week. This hat has been to 3 playoff games since last Saturday. And we talked about the first 2 of this series. We obviously didn't get a chance to talk about the 2 in Detroit and the amazing 15-inning game that happened just last night that I honestly am still physically recovering from. So,
Yeah, I'm
it's amazing.
mentally recovering from it, and I think you might be mentally recovering along with physically recovering from it.
There's
And
so
let me
much.
correct you. You said 1 game. There were really like 1.5 or
Fair.
1 3/4 games.
Yes, totally. And we're gonna get into that. We decided to podcast on a Saturday night because I mean, honestly, we're at an age with our children and our lives where we're not gonna be doing anything anyway. But
Yeah.
also the Mariners series with the Blue Jays starts tomorrow. Spoiler alert for those who weren't paying attention. And we want to talk about the Mariners before they start another series. So we are going to talk about the Mariners. We also will talk about Husky football because they played on a Friday night, which happened to be just terrible luck for the city of Seattle. Although
but kind of nice today, right? Like,
yeah, today was real relaxed. It was nice.
We didn't have to worry about or stress out about anything.
It was great.
Was just all
right.
right.
It was great. And Sunday's awesome. Seahawks Jaguars. And well, Seahawks Jaguars in the morning is cool. And then like while people are listening to this, maybe they're watching or whatever. Yeah. And then Mariners at night. So I love it. And then tonight, Sounders and Kraken are going at the same time. So there's all kinds of, it's awesome. The city's awesome right now. It's fun. But we got to talk about the Mariners because honestly, it has Seahawks vibes of everybody's talking about the Mariners. Everybody's wearing Mariners gear. It's hyped. It's amazing. And I was fortunate enough to get tickets. And by get, I mean, I paid for them.
Did you get priority for these tickets because of your playoff?
Yes, baby.
Because of your flex pack?
The flex plan that we talked about on the podcast that I got responses to after the podcast that my wonderful wife encouraged me to do, gave me pre-sale access. So I bought tickets to all 3 games at home in the division round. Had great experiences in all 3. I have tickets to game 3 on Wednesday in Seattle.
Okay, I'll see you on Wednesday then.
Perfect. Let's go. Live podcast from T-Mobile. Right next to the people with the megaphones out front. Okay. So I want to talk to you about what it was like to be in the stadium because, you know, some people listening were there, but a lot of people weren't. And then I want to talk about the game itself and some decisions. There was a lot of talk about Wilson and Hinch as managers. Wilson, obviously, in his first playoffs. And that'll lead to some heroics by Mariners players, obviously. And then we got to preview the Blue Jays before we get into the Husky stuff. So, yeah, I know. I just made some notes. I think I might actually write something about this, but we'll see. Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself. First, Kev, the ballpark was electric. I know that that's reported and people said it was loud. And obviously on TV, I mean, there is some created noise for TV. Like every game they hype you up when you're in the stadium. We're about to go live on national television. Let's get loud. And they have like Griffey out there on this game who came in on like a custom Cadillac and like they're trying to get you pumped up and it works. It's great. But game 1, I talked about this last week. First 2 innings were amazing, right? And then people kind of got lulled in. I mean, this game, people were loud the whole game. People were standing the whole game. And I'm going to shout out the guy 2 rows in front of me. Don't know his name. Don't know where he's from. But I've been a stand-up. I talked about this last week. You got to stand up all the time. This guy was on our asses in our section every time we sat. He's like, what are you guys doing? Get up. I mean, he was amazing. Okay, so section 309, row 1. Good job, dude. 4 guys in front of us from Tacoma. Great guys, all there together, pounding some beers. Let me tell you, they were also great to be around. Lots of high fives and knuckles. The guy specifically in front of us told me he had a 7-year-old boy who wasn't ready to come to the game. So I was there with Felix, my 12-year-old, And this guy was jealous, like in a good way. He just wanted his kid to be there. So he was high-fiving and fist bumping Felix all game long. And they had some funny interactions. So part of what's cool about playoffs, I don't know if you've had this experience, Kev, when you, especially in an extra inning game, the same thing happened when I went to the 18-inning game in 2022. The community around you in a game like that is so cool.
Yeah.
And you don't get that a lot of times in Mariner games, especially not in the regular season, right? You got families running up and down and people leaving early and nobody
people
left.
going, trying to get food
Exactly.
for their podcast.
You know, fair. Like when I had to leave to like go to the bathroom, or Felix did, like we were sprinting, right? And we were like, sorry. They're like, go, come back. Like everybody was hyped and on board together. The concession lines were way shorter because people were watching the game. Like people were into it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
The community around us was awesome. Shout out section 309, row 3. It was phenomenal.
I saw something today about the crowd noise legitimately impacting the game. Scooble, I forgot who reported it, but Scooble might not have heard that Naylor was going to steal third, right?
100%.
That heavy jump. And that led to a run.
So the catcher and the infielders were yelling at him to step off because Naylor, we saw it clearly from our vantage point, like he's halfway down the line.
Yeah.
And so if he turns around, he's got him in a pickle. He's done. And he didn't hear it because it was so loud. And Naylor stole third, and then Mitch Garver hits the sac fly, and that was the first run of the game. So
incredible.
The crowd, you could say they have impact. They actually had an impact in this game. The crowd was
Kirby
awesome.
had a headache
from
the noise, and he said he still loved it, which is it. Baseball's different than football, where you have the third down, the fourth down, you have false starts that happen. But the players keep on saying it, that they love the energy. They love feeling the home crowd and feeling supported. I guess it makes a difference.
Yeah, it's hard to, I've always wondered, is it more helpful to be loud while our pitchers are pitching and the batters are hitting?
Yeah.
Or vice versa? Because we're loud on both. So I don't know if that's helpful. In some ways, I would think when we're pitching, it's a bad idea because of pitch comm and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it just seems to help. They just know they're on their side and they're against the Tigers, right? And so,
and it's comfortable. They've played so many games at the stadium. That's what I think it is, right? And it feels like a good environment when people are cheering for you.
Yeah.
You're a coach. You've had teams, and the energy of your players it's better at home, right? They have their family watching. They have their classmates watching, right? Same with these Mariners. They have their fans watching. It's kind of a simple thing, but it's if you think about it too much, then it's not going to make any sense.
Right. That's a great point. The other thing I want to talk about, the atmosphere, the PR people, the Mariners, everybody did a great job. But the moment of all moments was in the 15th inning, between innings in the 15th, they did a second Salmon run. And for those who don't go to Mariner games, the Salmon run is like if you've ever seen the Milwaukee Brewers sausage run. It's the same thing. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, mascots who are salmon race each other, and there's a mascot, Humpy, the humpback salmon, and he's just portrayed to be a little bit of an idiot and a bad and bad at bad at racing. He was a 0-165, I think, going into this, including playoff games, or 0-164 because of the 2 playoff games. Never won before in the race. They do it every game for now.
And they had already done it that game.
And they did it that game, lost again. And as soon as he came out, I turned to Felix and I said, they're letting Humpy win. This is a vibe check. Because I'll tell you, Kev, I know at home for people it was exhausting. It was really a roller coaster when you have these couple innings where it looks like they're going to win it. And then you got to go to the next one. Like I had to sit. I was like physically exhausted. I was mentally torn because in some ways you just wanted it to end because you couldn't take the highs and the lows anymore.
Crazy thing is we went through this 3 years.
I know. And I felt
at that game.
And I felt it then, and it was awful. Like it just feels like your hopes get up when there's first and second no outs, which was twice in extra innings, and then they don't score. And you're just like, okay, well, we're not going to be able to shut them down again. Who's going to pitch? All these different things, which we'll talk about. But when they won it in the 15th, it was all worth it. Like the elation that came out, I'm like, oh no, this felt so good. It was amazing. But part of why they won it is the vibe change. They had a second salmon run and Humpy won. And when Humpy won, Kev, they shot off fireworks in the stadium.
What?
Yep. And the place went bananas. I mean, it was a little dead. Like people were pretty, like, you know, it was a shot of adrenaline, which is silly and stupid.
Did they stop selling beer in the 7th inning?
Honestly, I didn't try, and nobody. Yeah, I'm sure they did because they have to.
Yeah.
But nobody seemed to care as much as they do in other games.
Yeah.
I did see someone next to us go get a pretzel on like the 12th, which I felt like in the last time they had no concessions either. Strangely, we had planned ahead. We brought a lot of food from home, like solid Uncrustables, some applesauce packets.
That's what I
Cliff
pack.
Bars.
That's what you pack when you're desperate and you need, you know, you're running an errand and you don't have time to put anything together.
Yeah, to be fair, Uncrustables are a staple in our household right now. So we had them on hand. But I mean, it was great. Also, Dana and I did this in game 2 because the lines are so long. I didn't want to miss any game, but it's a long time to not eat. So you kind of bring your own food from home. Could I have gone fancier? Sure. But you know, that's what we had around the house. And it actually ended up being great. Humpy wins. And Humpy goes straight into the pen in center field and is just vibing with the dudes and ladies in the pen.
It's his
high-fiving
moment.
For the whole bottom of the 15th. Humpy's just in the pen like he's one of the bros, like jumping around. And sure enough, the Mariners go on and they win the game in the bottom of the 15th. It was awesome. It was like, it sounds so stupid for anyone who's not in Seattle.
If you are the Mariners marketing people in charge of the production, do you let him win when we go on Wednesday? No.
This was a one-time thing. It's like the if anyone had gone to Sounders game, they do a Space Needle.
But what if they lose?
And
what if the Mariners lose?
Hold on, can I finish, please, Kevin? The gold Space Needle elevator car never wins. And then it won in, I think it was the CONCACAF Champions Cup final. They had the gold win. And so they put an asterisk next to it. And they never let it win again. I don't think come on. Nobody's going to believe that that's the reason they won. It was a vibe lightener, and, you know, it brought everybody back up. You can't let Humpy win again. Although I bet when he doesn't win in the 3rd inning of the first ALCS game, they're going to boo. People are going to boo. Yeah. It's going to be awesome. Or maybe they should retire it for the year. I don't know what to do. It's fair. My last thing I would say about atmosphere is just personal, but it's a lot of people have this experience. First, Felix is 12 years old. He's the only child in our section. Like, I've never experienced this at a Mariners game. There are no kids, no one under 21 anywhere near us. So he kind of was not like he was the mascot of the section, but for a lot of people, they were like pumped that there was one kid, and he had a lot of energy. He was excited. 30 years ago, I went with my dad to the 1995 playoff where Edgar hit the double.
Yeah.
And to be able to like absolutely lift my son into my arms and scream when they won and like just almost throw him 2 rows down because we were so excited was a very cool, like, cathartic moment for me. So it was awesome.
That is awesome. And we can go back into the archives because we had this discussion of best live sporting events we went to. Is this in your top 5?
Yeah, I think it probably is, recency bias aside.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about it in terms of Mariners' best wins ever or most important.
Yeah.
And there's probably only 4. And it's every time they advance to the ALCS because they've never gone to the World Series. You can't really argue any regular season win would be greater. And I don't think you could argue an ALCS win would be bigger because they never advanced.
Yeah.
So crazy thing, all 4 of those wins are at home. That's interesting. I've been to 2 of the 4 and they're right up there. Right. With the only other thing that always comes to mind for me is the NFC Championship that I went to where they advanced the Super Bowl Seahawks. But
yeah, and in my head, I was like, this game was so good that not even the games I attended, but just best games in Seattle sports history. Right. For me, it's both of the NFC championships back to back that, you know, who cares if they
in the Russell Wilson era you're talking about.
The Packers come back was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the Sugar Bowl the Huskies win to get them to the national championship. That's
Sure.
up there for me. The Seahawks Super Bowl victory, of course, at least in my lifetime, right?
Yeah.
And then you throw in the 2000, I don't remember any of the 2001 Mariners games being this exciting, or the Carlos game drag button is nice.
So that's 2000. Yep, that's
yeah.
a good one. Clinches the win. 2001, they Jamie Moyer beat Bartolo Colon at home in a Game 5 ALDS.
Yeah.
I remember watching it at my parents' house and feeling very stressed out about it. It was a good game. There wasn't the same dramatic moment that we had, right, with Polanco's hit. So,
by the way, did you see the it was like an Onion meme, but it basically said Mariners start Jamie Moyer after 7,000 days rest or something ridiculous
for game one of the
for
ALCS.
game one of the ALCS. It was pretty
good.
funny.
Dipoto made a joke that he would have to activate himself too, which would be a bad idea.
It was pretty funny with Moyer because he actually made an appearance at T-Mobile for the Savannah Bananas game and threw a pitch, which is pretty fun. Threw out a batter, right?
He got a guy to fly out deep to center, but yes, he got an out.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of getting outs or dramatic wins, let's talk about the game itself. So a great quote before the game, or somewhere in Detroit, they asked Wilson about the game of chess between him and AJ Hinch, and he said, "I don't know how to play chess, so I don't know how that analogy works," which was incredible. And I don't
it was the
think,
truth.
Yeah, I don't think it's true. Actually, I think Wilson knows what he's saying, right? Like there's lots of things there. I think he's downplaying it. I think he's trying to keep the attention on the team. I think he's trying to be funny. I think, whatever it is. After the game, when they asked him about one of his decisions, he talked a lot about Manny Acta, who's been a manager and he's the bench coach. And I think Wilson relies a lot on Manny Acta, so they do a lot of things together, which is cool. The first big decision, and I want to hear what you thought in the moment. So Kirby is pretty good into the 6th inning. And Kerry Carpenter had singled twice off of him already. Kerry Carpenter has hit 5 home runs off of George Kirby in his career. So he's 7 for 13 at this point with 5 bombs. And Javier Baez doubles to left center. And Kirby's got to face Carpenter, and they go get Gabe Spire. In the moment, what was your thought?
Okay, so my thought was, yes, this is what you have to do, right? And you learn, right? You learn from a mistake. So it's about the process and not, you can't
look at the
judge, you can't judge the result, right? Because that's ultimately out of your control, right? You're judging the decision making, and it was an informed decision, right? It had already happened, right? The dude already had 2 hits hit by that point, or 2 hits. I think
he had 2 hits. He had 2 hits off him in that game, and obviously he hit the game go-ahead home run in game 1 off Kirby in the exact same situation.
Yeah. So I got to credit Christine, because I'll let you in on our window of the viewing experience, but we were supposed to have a fancy anniversary dinner. And the day before, I said, Christine, unfortunately, the Mariners play at night. And she goes, all right, we're going to BJ's. I'm craving the wedge salad.
So you guys were at a bar for 15 innings, or did you go home?
We were at the restaurant
bar
for 14 of the innings, and then we made it. The top of the 4. It was after Castillo's half inning, or however we got home. I forget what inning it was. Forgive me for not remembering.
That's okay. Yeah.
But we had made it through the appetizer. I made it through an extra beer.
Yeah.
It was, and the great thing about this restaurant was that the game was on. They had the sound on.
Yeah, that's great.
There's one person watching the USA friendly match. I didn't have enough effort to tell them to change it to FS1 to watch the Huskies. Like halfway, I texted you. I was like, I don't care if the Huskies lose by 50. I'm so logged in on this Mariners game.
Also, part of the atmosphere of the game is I couldn't get or send texts on any timely manner. There's so many people in there, and they're all on their phones and nervously
This is
texting.
great to prepare. So I will not text during the game on Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, I think Wednesday might. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. It might be different. People were very nervous in the stadium.
We watched this happen, and we're like, okay, this makes sense, right? And then the home run happens. Yep. Carpenter hits the home run, and the Tigers go up 3-2.
2-1.
And Christine 2-1. And Christine tells me, she's like, it's just frustrating because you put Inspire to prevent that exact outcome, and that outcome happened.
Right.
But you're not mad that Dan Wilson did that, because you would have done the same thing, and everyone would have done the same thing.
So not everyone. So here's what I would tell you. My people in my section were crashing out. I will use the young person term because it's a perfect term for it.
Yeah.
People were pissed. They didn't trust the bullpen after game 4 with Spire giving up the lead. And then Bizzardo was bad. And then, of course, then it was like Vargas and other guys. Although Vargas is going to have to pitch in this series coming up. So we need Vargas to be a little better, or a lot better. So I think the decision comes down to a couple things. Do you take Kirby out? That's the first one. And there are people advocating, use it 60 pitches. What are we doing? This new school analytics baseball is a bad decision. I will tell you, people weren't paying attention to his velocity. And if you pay attention to Kirby, and there are analytics on this, but I'm watching the radar gun. Felix and I really focus on the radar gun, especially when Scooble's pitching, because he's throwing 101. But also, we watch enough games that like Kirby's good when he's 97, 98.
Yeah.
Right. Castillo's good when he's 96, not 93. Gilbert is a little different because he's so many sliders and splitters. But Kirby and Castillo have to have their fastball velocity. Bryce Miller, same thing, right? If you look in Detroit, 97, and then he starts dropping in the 4th, and they took him out. I think it's a big thing on velocity. Kirby was sitting at 94 in that inning. So you can't keep rolling Kirby out. The second part of it is, some people wanted them to go to Castillo right then. And that just wasn't.
I kind of was on that as well.
Yeah. I just think if you love what Bizzardo did, then you can't get mad at Dan for what he did with Spire, right? Bizzardo went 2 2/3 ridiculous postseason baseball after sucking in game 4, right? So if you trust your guys, there's a poll here, but I think Spire was the right call. It didn't work out. So I think Dan did the right call. I'll tell you who I think did the wrong call. And that's AJ Hinch pulling Tarek Skubal after 99 pitches.
Yeah.
And this
Eric
is a
Goldsmith
big thing.
Even said,
yeah.
I don't understand why, because then
he said, I'll never understand for my life.
The roadmap was there right after that. And then you threw in a variable of having to add a third pitcher that would have had to pitch for the Tigers. And of course, it ended up being way more pitchers.
Yeah.
But
right.
Scubal's career, I read somewhere his highest pitch count was 120.
I don't think that's true. It might be his regular season one. He went 118, 119 against Cleveland in the first round. So that's what I had in my mind watching that, because I was watching game 1 of the Cleveland-Detroit series, and I said this on this podcast, I want to play Cleveland because I'm terrified of Skubal. Now, of course, history shows the Mariners beat him 4 times this year, but they didn't really beat Skubal 4 times, right? They beat the Tigers when Skubal pitches, which is amazing, but he was dominant.
13 strikeouts at one point.
After the run, he struck out 10 of the next 13 batters.
Yeah.
Right. So he's at 99 pitches. His last pitch was a 101 on the gun. Now, to Hinch's defense, and we don't know the dynamics, he's said publicly, like, I checked in with Skubal. We knew in the 6th he was going to give it his all. Maybe that's why he could still throw a 101, because he was giving everything. So I think maybe they both agreed that he was going to come out. I just think Skubal, his changeup's so good. Even his velocities at 97, 98, he's still so good at that point for the Tigers. You got to run him out there for the 7th. Unless he explicitly tells you, and he might have, I can't go another inning.
This is something that I learned, is this dynamic between starting pitchers and their managers, that the managers don't necessarily have this, all right, you're pitching right now, do it. There's a whole thing about that Gilbert and Miller and Castillo went to Dan Wilson and said, "Hey, I'm ready to go if you need me to pitch." Right?
Yeah, I think we have
If
to put
I'm
that.
Dan, I'm
Yeah, go
like,
ahead.
yeah, we were planning on it.
Right,
right?
but we have to go in a different category there. Like, I
Yeah.
think that's different than the Skubal decision, although
Of
it's
course.
similar in the way of you got to trust what your guy says, right? If
Yeah.
Skubal says he can't go, then what's he going to do? He can't force him to go out there if he really feels it. Finnegan's a good reliever. The Mariners did fine against him twice. Will Vest was awesome. Like, I don't know. Tigers bullpen was pretty good, obviously, in the series. But Skubal's the X factor in the game. And I just, for them, and I know they're all thinking this, all their fans, all their analysts, like, one more inning. I think the one you're talking about is really interesting, reading that in the paper today, that Miller, Castillo, and Gilbert all went in and said, I want to pitch. And can I go? And I think you're right. Dan was probably like, well, I was going to come to you. But it is pretty cool that they all came. So
yeah. But by the way, I got to give it to you because a couple weeks ago we were mapping out, who do we want the Mariners to avoid, and you circled the Tigers and you said,
no way. Yeah.
It's Skubal. And then again, when this happened, when we were before the series started, you're like, we got to win game one, because if we don't win game one, that means we get Skubal twice.
Yeah, and I was wrong ultimately, but I wasn't, right? Like,
it was like we lost game.
We won game 2 and game 5 when he pitched, but he was phenomenal. And
we didn't win when he was in the game. That's the thing. We had to wait till he was out.
Although in game 2, because of Polanco's 2 homers, we were actually winning when he left. So that one, I think, okay, but also they lose game 1. Maybe they have a little different response and urgency in game 2. You can never predict it, but
yeah,
I think we all know that you want to avoid Skubal. I think it's awesome that there's no more Skubal in the postseason for us right now, because he's terrifying. I don't think the Blue Jays have a terrifying pitcher. They have really good ones, but not terrifying.
He's pretty up there with Kerry Carpenter.
Oh my God. I also never want to see him. I
saw someone say that he's replaced Mike Trout as the Mariners Bogeyman. And this would be like a great segment to talk about the Mariners Bogeyman. But for me, growing up as a kid, it was always Rafael Palmeiro. He always hit a home run in right field.
He has the most hits, I think, and homers all time against the Mariners. I think we did that on a podcast.
And then it's Mike Trout. And then Mike Trout has all the numbers. And this dude, Kerry Carpenter, he was like Yordan Alvarez, except a little better.
Yordan's on the list for me.
Yeah.
That was a short series, but it's crazy. In fact, Teoscar is actually on the list. He was really good in that short Blue Jays series before he came to the Mariners. Okay, I want to talk about a couple other decisions. Let's stick with what you talked about, the Gilbert and Castillo thing. So they go to Brash, they go to Munoz, and then they go to Gilbert. It was very cool when he came in the game live, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
He came into Gangster's Paradise, which was awesome. He's walking in from the bullpen. He's super gangly. It definitely had shades of Randy Johnson in 1995. He was good. Part of you in the back of your mind's going, this sucks. Gilbert could have pitched game 1 in the ALCS if they win this game. But you also know they have to win, right? And did I want Vargas or Luke Jackson or Caleb Ferguson in the game? No. Absolutely not, right? So I was thinking Bizzardo, but I liked they went Gilbert, and then Bizzardo came in and was just nasty for 2 2/3. And then Castillo finishing it up in relief, and he was awesome. 15 pitches, 11 strikes. Castillo was dominant. It was, I will remember that as part of the game. I will remember, obviously, Polanco single. I will never forget Leo Rivas. But those 2 starters coming in relief is so cool. Yeah.
I've read somewhere that the back half had close to a complete game shutout.
Yeah.
Right.
They did. They went 9 and a third.
After
it was Carpenter's home run. That's the only runs they got. Yeah. Their lineup after Carpenter was not good in this game. Our lineup at the top was not good for the series, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Well, we just refused to throw them fastballs. They got sliders the entire game, and they just kept swinging.
So that's really fascinating, and this goes to Dan Wilson and his coaching and whatever the staff decided, right? So I took a picture of this off Twitter because it was so good. Okay. Percent of pitches that were sliders in the postseason, to your point, Mariners, 39.4%. The next closest was San Diego at 20%. So they're 20% higher than any other team in the postseason. The Mariners led all of baseball and fastball usage in the regular season. So they completely flipped the script on what they were going to do. I think that's a big part of why Kirby started. He's got a good slider. Why Gilbert came in. Why Brash and Munoz were the guys. Why Bizzardo is all slider guys, right? All just nasty slider guys. I mean, Bizzardo, Munoz, and Brash might be the best triple combo reliever sliders in Major League Baseball. And I'm sure it's something they scouted, right? With the Tigers. It was like, we're throwing sliders. Felix and I are watching the board because they tell you what pitch it is, right? Along with the miles per hour. Munoz threw his first 18 pitches were sliders when he came in.
Yeah.
And he throws like 98. Of course, he walked the first two players, so we were a little bit like, can you throw a fastball, please? Can we throw one? It was
pretty
fastball?
funny. There were so many memes about Przinsky on X about he was like, here's what's going to come, or here's what they should pitch. And then slider. Yeah. He really should do this. Slider. He really should do this. Strikeout. Yeah. Slider.
Yeah. Przinsky's a good segue to the other part I want to talk about with Dan Wilson. Okay. So I didn't listen to the broadcast, but I saw a lot of memes about bunt. You got to bunt.
Yeah.
We were saying in the stands. So there's two big instances where I think I'm going to critique Dan on this one. And I think people been really applauding him for this performance and that he outcoached AJ Hinch, which I think is ridiculous. I think they were equal. They both were awesome. They both did a great job. AJ can be, criticized for the Scooble thing. But I wrote down when it was. So bottom of the 10th, Robles doubles, no bunt from JP Crawford. It's 2-0. He looks like he's going to bunt. He gets 2 balls, and then he swings away. Could have been the game winner. Could have been awesome. JP's good in those moments. But you just bunt to get the sac fly going, right? You got Randy coming up. They could have walked Randy and Cal to get Julio, bases loaded, 1 out. But I would have taken that, right? To get a sac fly to win it. So I think they should have bunted there, and they did not. Then you go to bottom of the 12th. Rivas walks. He advances to second on a wild throw to first. Robles gets hit on the hand, which everybody freaked out about because he actually should have been a foul ball. And it ended up helping the Tigers because it set up the double play. And then JP comes up and he doesn't bunt. He couldn't get the bunt down. He tried, but he couldn't. So process-wise, good. Failure by JP, which is really disappointing.
I think there's 2 points I want to make here. One, of course, there's no guarantee that you get a bunt down, right?
JP's a good bunter, though.
Yeah.
In fairness.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, if we're talking about managerial decisions, I would have kept the bunt on with 2 strikes in the 12th because he popped out the second. Now, maybe I could say the result, but honestly, you got to set up the winning run in a stressful spot. And then in the 10th, I absolutely would have bunted. Like all of us in our section were pissed. We were like, he should have bunted.
My second point is a larger point.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, something that Mariner fans might not want to hear, but it's something that you got to focus on in this upcoming series against the Blue Jays. The Mariners lineup isn't built to manufacture runs, as we like to say, to bunt, to get ground balls, to move guys over, to steal bases. I don't think there's individual guys that can do that in the lineup, but really what the lineup is good at is hitting bombs, right? And we saw it all season. You bring in Suarez, you have a historic season from Cal Raleigh. You have a guy like Julio, and if you look at the wins, the team had offensive outbursts powered by home runs.
Okay,
now, I'm not saying that the Mariners I'm not saying the Mariners can't manufacture runs, but I'm saying that's definitely not its strength.
Okay,
like,
I agree.
It's not its strength. Like you can't get Suarez to manufacture a run unless you have a guy on third and he can hit a fly ball. Doesn't help if Cal Raleigh is going to strike out swinging the at bat before. Or
okay, you're getting a little too negative here. Okay. Let me.
I told you I was going to upset you.
No, it's fine because you're wrong on some parts.
Okay.
First, they're crazy high in Major League Baseball in steals. They're like top 5 in steals. So you can't say that they don't steal to manufacture runs.
But they're not good. If you look at the rate, if you look at their rate.
Hold on. They didn't steal bases in this series because that dude Dingler is awesome behind the plate. I think it'll be different in Toronto. especially if Alejandro Kirk is behind the plate, I think the Mariners might be more aggressive on the base paths. Number 2, I think guys like Rivas, who obviously is not normally going to play, but JP, I think Polanco, he had first and second in the, let me look up the inning again, bottom of the 13th. Jack Flaherty's pitching. Polanco's up first and second, ends up, hitting into a double play, I believe. I thought he should have bunted. He's a good bunter. Luke Raley's a good bunter. I think in the playoffs, you have to have both, because we talked about this last time. The managers have said you have to hit bombs, right? You've got to hit home runs.
I agree.
But they have to be able to manufacture runs. And I think the game where I'd push back on you is when I was watching this year, especially after Naylor and Suarez came, the games they were best, they were manufacturing runs. And I think that Tigers game on the road, they manufactured runs, Kev. They scored 6 runs.
Yeah.
They hit a couple bombs, but they also, Robles created chaos in the bases and they scored a run. Like, that's when they are best, I would say to you.
I actually don't think we're too far apart.
No, we are. I hate you.
I actually think that, I agree with you. The team's really good at manufacturing runs, but I do think that the team's a lot better when they're hitting bombs. I don't think we disagree at that point, right?
No, but
if
is there any team that's not?
Cowell hits a home run, but I'm just saying that they struggled. They struggled at manufacturing runs.
Well, they did in the 15-run inning game. Sure. That's my point. I was frustrated. Go manufacture a run by bunting. That's my point. It's really frustrating. Obviously, bullpens are lights out. As we transition here to the Blue Jays series, here's what scares me. The Blue Jays do both of those things. They manufacture runs. They're really good on the base paths, not stealing like the Mariners in terms of aggressiveness, but they're really good base running. They have guys that can hit bombs, but they don't strike out. The Blue Jays do not strike out, and that worries me a lot. Not that we have like all strikeout dudes. Obviously we have some, but we're not rolling out Skubal, obviously. But goodness.
Before we move on to the Blue Jays, tell me the one play from that marathon of a game that you think was the most important play in your mind.
Well, maybe I'm naturally pessimistic because everybody talked about how I think his name's Alan Porter, the umpire, was like 97% accurate or something in that game, and how he's the best umpire in baseball. All the metrics are true. When JP was bunting and he didn't get it down, that inning I'm talking about, first and second in the 12th, 3-0 count, it's ball 4 by an inch inside, and he took it and he didn't walk. And so then the bases are loaded and there's no outs, and that game ends in the 12th inning. Castillo doesn't pitch. Castillo pitches game 1 in Toronto.
Yeah.
Like, I think that actually has a secret ripple effect. So
I don't think it's not actually secret. They did the ump scorecard and they said the most.
No, it was number 1.
It was number 1. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, it's not probably fair because of how good he was.
Yeah.
But if this is 2026, you have the challenge system, assuming they have challenges, which they could have lost throughout the game. JP challenges it. It's ball 4. I guess that's a stupid answer by me because the Mariners won the game, right? But
yeah,
I don't know. It might have the biggest ripple effect of Castillo pitching game 1, Bryce Miller pitches game 2. Maybe that won't matter. I don't know. That's probably not fair. What would you say? Give me a better answer than my stupid answer.
The Suarez tag out at home.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I looked at Christina and said, Suarez has been horrible on offense. This game, he's like 0 for 6 with like 3 strikeouts or whatever, but he just made the most important defensive play of the season.
Yeah. And there was a bat flying at him, or at least for our
incredible.
angle.
No. It was on the telecast. It was flying at him. He was great. It was just so good. It's like how you teach it. That's how coaches, that's coach talk. Like it was by the book.
Yeah. That was a big one. That's a good answer. All right, let's talk about the Blue Jays. So here's what we know. We don't know a lot. In fact, by the time this comes out, we'll probably know the ALCS roster. The report is that Brian Wu will be on it, but he will not pitch in games 1 or I don't know if it's for sure game 2, but it's leaning towards later game in the 3. Series. Or did they just said later in the series?
Dipoto said he'll be ready mid series of the ALCS, which game 3 or 4, right?
Yep. Home game in Seattle. By the way, this has a 2-3-2 format in case people didn't know, because I didn't.
There's going to be 3 straight games at T-Mobile.
Thursday, Friday nights at T-Mobile. So that's amazing. I almost pulled the trigger on Friday night tickets as well because that'll be really fun, but I'm going Wednesday. What we know is that Wu will be on the roster. Bryce Miller is opening game 1, whatever that means. He's on 3 days rest.
Yeah. Dipoto in his post-game interview, listened to a lot of Dipoto apparently, said Bryce Miller and friends. So you think that's 3 innings?
I think if they could get in Detroit what they got, which is 4, that'd be great.
That's what you're aiming for.
I don't know. I think 3 is realistic. And then the report by Adam Jude, who's really plugged into sources, mentioned Hancock. So we don't know this, but it might be the Hancock debut of a couple of innings as a bridge. I don't think Bizzardo is going to be able to go in that game. I mean, he has a rubber arm, but he threw 2 2/3. He's got to get another day off, I feel like. And in some ways,
and he had pitched 5 straight games.
Yeah, you can't punt. Yeah, right. Exactly. You can't punt a game, obviously, but with a 7-game series, you've got to think about the series, and you need Bizzardo. They have 3 straight in Seattle, so some of those dudes are going to have to go 3 in a row potentially. I think you maybe have to stay away from Bizzardo in that game. I hope you don't have to stay away from Brash and Munoz, but I don't know that you can go both games with them, 1 day off, and then 3 in a row in Seattle. Maybe you can at this time of year. But I think you're right. I think we see Miller, maybe Hancock, bridge that gap to the bullpen, depending on how the game's going. Toronto's going with Kevin Gausman, it sounds like, who's filthy. He's good. He's not Tarek Skubal, but he's really good.
That's what's kind of relaxing is we don't have to face that type of ace ever again.
Right. Gausman is really good. He's not maybe as good as he was before, but could he go out and just shove for 7 innings and no runs? Totally. I don't think that's going to happen. Game 2, it sounds like the Blue Jays are going with this rookie, whose last name is Yee Savage, which is just freaking amazing. That I don't even know if you pronounce it that way, but it's spelled Yee Savage. He was drafted in 2024.
Trey.
Yeah.
His name's Trey Savage.
And he's drafted about a year ago, and he's pitching, and he went 5 1/3, no hit, 11 strikeouts against the Yankees in the playoffs. He's sick. I had to look up some stuff. He's got his fastball's like 98, but here's the weird thing about him. As you're watching, so across all pitchers, he has an abnormally high arm release angle that was 3rd in Major League Baseball this year. And his slider has more arm side movement than any pitcher in baseball. So his delivery, if you think about Logan Gilbert's arms going everywhere, that's this guy, but maybe not as like gangly. It's just like his extension is ridiculous and it really screws up the batters. So he's pitching game 2. I'm assuming we're going Luis Castillo in game 2 because he threw only 15 pitches, but we're screwed on our pitching right now. Miller and Castillo are going to be limited. They're both on the road, not Hold on. Not great environments for either of them.
Okay.
Both are not good on the Miller. I have more faith in than Castillo on the road. Castillo only pitched at home in this last series. And if he's not rested and Castillo's hitting 94, that's not good in Toronto. So I'm not saying the series is over. I'm saying if the Mariners grab 1 game in Toronto, then you got to feel awesome because then you're going Gilbert, Wu, and Kirby at your 3 home games. Come on. And whoever pitches game 3 would be in line to pitch game 7. So that will be an interesting decision by Dan too. It will show you who he wants to go. So
I hate this uncertainty of like what do I have? What expectations can I have for Brian Wu?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it really sucks, obviously.
Yeah.
Like it just
completed like
everything.
Every pitcher on this staff has been injured right at one point in the season. Kirby started out
except
with
for Castillo.
Injury.
Yeah.
Kirby was injured for a while.
Kirby, Gilbert, Miller, and Wu have all been hurt. Wu at the worst time. Yep. So I mean, they're going to put him on the roster. That's the beautiful
thing about depth, right?
Yep. I mean, I could see them too. Like they didn't say he would start. It could be that he's ready to go out of the pen for 2 innings in game 3 or game 4, which would be pretty nasty if you go Gilbert and then Wu, and then he could do that again in game 7, or something like that. Because Castillo and Miller would be on rest coming home for game 5, maybe. I don't know. I'd rather have Wu start and then Miller piggyback him in game 5. But games 1 and 2 are going to be tough. Toronto is going to have a great crowd. They're good there. They are the best team in the American League, right? Going into the series. Throughout the year, they were, even though the Tigers were really good for a long time. They have some dudes. If you go look at how their guys hit in the ALDS, I mean, it's insane.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the playoffs has a 5. Was it?
He's hitting 529 with a 1600 OPS.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here's the problem, Kev. It's not just him. Ernie Clement, who I think is really good and actually is a pain in the ass. 6'3". Dalton Varsho, 438. Alejandro Kirk hit 2 home runs in that series.
And we haven't even talked George Springer's in this lineup. It's not bad.
They just have this dude, Nathan Lucas, is awesome. Young guy. Addison Barger has an absolute cannon in right field. They're really, really good. So we're at the point where
every team is playing is really,
really
good.
Yeah. I mean, the Dodgers and Brewers, come on. We saw those teams this year. They're sick.
Thinking oh my God, if we get to the World Series and play the Dodgers, we're worried about Kerry Carpenter. Are you kidding me? We're going to have Ohtani and Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
And Freddie Freeman.
So the Blue Jays are enough for me to worry about right now, especially with Bryce Miller going in game 1 and whoever going in game 2. I'm worried about it. So should we do a little bit on the Huskies?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Here's what I want to say about it. Well, you can go. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, the stadium was kind of empty.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law made the decision to go to the Husky game. He makes it to the third quarter. He's like, I just couldn't do it. I had to come home and watch the Mariners. He left the Husky game to watch the Mariners.
Did you see
at the Husky game were on the concourse,
right,
watching the Mariners,
shoes on their head, going back to the 2022 rallying cry.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that sucks. I don't know if it was a good Husky game, to be honest with you. I'm really worried about the defense. The Greek Rifle, who we joke about for now 2 years in this podcast, threw for 300 yards in the first 3 quarters. Now, we did say in the preview last week that he's been pretty good lately.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the Huskies ran away with this game, but they ran away with it because they have a special human playing for them.
Yeah.
Damon Williams is really special.
Would you call him reckless? No, in running, you'd call him aggressive, right? So
I'd call him amazing. Don't take away his swag. Don't take away his whatever.
400 passing yards, 99 on the ground.
No.
How much?
5 on the ground.
135 on the ground.
He's one of 16 players in the history of college football to have a 400-100 game. Yeah. He had the most combined yards in Husky history, passing to Asasopo's 300-200 game, which we've talked about. And no one saw it because it was on Friday night when the Mariners are playing a playoff game. So it won't go down in Husky lore the same way, but it should. Damon Williams is absolutely special.
I drew a parallel in my head to when Ray Allen went off against the Phoenix Suns in a triple overtime win for the Sonics. That happened the same night as the 2006 Super Bowl. Wow. So no one was watching that game, but it was a historic game for the Sonics. Anyways,
that's a good little note, Kev. Nice job.
Same thing here. Damon Williams has an amazing individual performance, and the Huskies are 5-1 and likely to be ranked when you're listening to this.
Can I tell you something I think silly is Husky Nation
being all butthurt about them not being ranked.
Yeah, saying that the AP poll should be eliminated if they're not ranked. Can we slow down a little bit? Can we slow down? They're 5-1 and they still have yet to beat anyone. Now, this season might be who knows who someone is. Penn State is a mess.
Wazoo took number 4 Ole Miss for a ride.
Totally. But I'm not going to use a transitive property there. I'm going to use who they actually beat. Maryland on the road was a good win. They were down 20-0. They're down to Rutgers. They looked terrible in the first half and they won. I think they got to, if they beat somebody, they'll be ranked. I think if they're not ranked, everybody should just slow their roll and relax. What does it do for you as a Husky fan if they're ranked? Do you walk in the grocery store and you're like, yes, we're 23rd now? Calm down. It's fine.
Yeah, they will be ranked if they just keep on winning games, right?
Yeah, and the next 2 weeks are huge. They go to Michigan and they have Illinois at home, and that will tell you if this team is more what you think they might be or what I thought.
Okay, let's be
all
right.
Ago.
I'm not as high on them.
That's not true, Kev.
Okay,
you told me to find 4 losses on their roster or on their schedule. You said find 4.
Let's be fair here. We're halfway through the season and they've only lost 1 game against the number 1 team in the country.
I didn't think they were going to lose to.
You really think they were going to be 5-1 at this point? Tell the truth.
I thought. Kev, I thought we've talked about in the podcast. You can go listen that they were going to start 3-0. Did anyone think they weren't?
Yeah.
The Coug game's scary. I thought they'd lose to Ohio State. I thought if this team was good, they had to go beat Maryland, and certainly they have to beat Rutgers at home. So 5-1 is not something that is unexpected. Okay. Is it nice? Yes, because that Maryland game clearly could have gone a different way. But the losses are here in this half if they're going to happen. And I am totally open to Damon Williams being so good that I'm wrong. Like
that they only lose 2.
He's my favorite athlete in Seattle right now to watch.
Ah, interesting.
Like not as a team, right? I'd rather watch the Mariner game right now, all that stuff. But he's insane to watch. So he changes their ceiling to me.
Yeah.
Also, Michigan, Illinois seem beatable to me now, whereas before I thought those would be losses. But if the Huskies,
scared of UCLA,
and UCLA is awesome, and then the Ducks is, despite what happened today, I mean,
they're pretty good.
I think you would say they're pretty good. So you could find 4 losses, but to your point, I will come more towards your side. Damon changes it for me. What makes me pause and say, yep, there's absolutely 4 losses on this, if not more, is the defense.
Yeah.
I mean, who are they stopping? They're not stopping anybody right now. Like they are bending and not breaking in some ways. But that game, even with the score, I watched full condensed replays. They intercept Rutgers at the end of the game. Game's over. No big deal. But Rutgers has another we get a 4th down stop at the like 5-yard line where a ball gets tipped. There's another play on 4th down where a ball gets tipped. You could go great play. You could go game of inches, right? And Rutgers is in that game. Obviously, the Maryland game they could have lost. You could do that with most games. But I'm super excited that it's a 9 a.m. start next week. I know people don't like that. I love it. I'm up for 2 hours already. Give me a great college football game at 9 a.m. next Saturday. So right after the Mariners are up, let's say 3-2 after game 5 Friday night, you have a rest day, get up, watch the Huskies.
Yeah. I had a colleague, and this probably happened to you as well, but a lot of my friends that aren't Mariners fans are congratulating me on this enormous victory that I had no role in at all. But I got a message we have Microsoft Teams at work, and it just said, the podcast is about to be lit.
Oh, I hope we delivered. I don't know if we did deliver, but
I think we did on a Saturday night.
Yeah. I had a friend who was texting and saying, I want to know about Wilson's managerial decisions. And I said, you got to listen to the pod. You got to listen to the pod.
It's kind of funny because if you listen to our podcast from maybe a little over a year ago when Dan Wilson took over, and then when he was announced that he was going to be the permanent manager, like we didn't think much about managerial strategy. And I think it's come up a little bit in our podcast, but really over the long term of the season, you're really focused more on the player performance than rather, did Dan Wilson pull a guy or put in a guy or at the wrong moment, at the wrong time, or could he have done something else? Right. And that's just in the playoffs. It's just different. Right.
Yeah,
so I think the buttons you push in the playoffs have obviously way more of an impact on the outcome.
Right.
Although it doesn't make any sense, right? Because during a regular season game, it does have the same outcome and you can hyper analyze it. But here's the thing. There's not as many of those decisions, right? You're making way more decisions in the playoffs.
Or way more magnified, right? Because of the stakes. I mean, social media would tell you that they were all disappointed with Dan Wilson all year long. But I think that's any manager or coach in any sport, right?
Yeah.
I think baseball is more inclined to have those moments, whereas like football, it's a 4th down play call. We talked about this after the first Seahawks game when McDonald doesn't go for it on 4th down. That's hyper magnified, but like him putting in Josh Jobe to play corner for one play rarely gets magnified in the way that bringing in Gabe Spire does, right?
Yeah.
So
I think it's interesting because Dipoto in the post game, sorry, again, I'm bringing up Dipoto, but he says, that was the best game that Dan Wilson's ever managed.
interesting.
And put that into contrast with the Fox post game show with Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter, thinly veiled criticism of the Yankees, where they said someone else is making the decisions for Aaron Boone, basically is what they said.
Which
and
is
it
funny
makes
because
me,
everybody says that Dipoto is making the decisions for
yeah.
Dan Wilson.
And in my head, I'm like, did Dipoto, are there guidelines, right? Or is he just calling the shots? I have no idea. It would be weird to think that he's like calling in the shots, but there surely are guidelines. And when Dreyer asks him who's pitching on Friday, that's the answer. Like Dipoto gave the answer. It wasn't Dan Wilson giving that answer.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a team approach too. I think going to Spire in that moment was a team approach that was decided beforehand. It's not in the moment Dan being like, well, it's Spire time. It's if Carpenter's up a third time, especially if Carpenter has success on Kirby again, if we're in this inning, we're going to Spire, right?
Yeah.
I think the decision to bunt is Manny Acta and Dan Wilson. And it's informed by the front office, but that's them together.
It's interesting.
All right, let's do this for our top 5 to finish out. Let's do together. They don't name MVPs for this round, which is kind of weird. But if you had to name an ALDS MVP, you cannot pick a Tiger. We're keeping Scooble out of this. Let's come up with a top 5 together. So we'll just name 5, maybe in not any particular order, and then we'll pick the top. So I'll go first. Polanco has to be on the list. 2 home runs off Scooble and the game-winning hit. He's probably the guy who would win it just by narrative.
I agree. Yeah.
But Polanco's on the list. Who else would you add on the list?
I think Bizzardo, you got to put him on there. The most important performance, pitching the most. I think that's the longest he's been on the mound. What was it, 2 and like a third?
2 2/3. Yeah, 2 2/3.
2 2/3. That's almost 3 innings, just throwing straight fire, and being criticized like during the regular season, the narrative behind that. So I think he's up. I think he's in the top 5 for sure.
I'm going to throw Cal into the mix. Cal hit 381 in this series. He had a home run. He had 4 RBIs. He had 4 walks with 7 strikeouts. He caught every game, including all 15 innings. Cal's got to be on the list too. So that's 3.
Yeah. I think Naylor. Naylor belongs. And he struggled the first 2 games, but this last game, especially with the stolen base, and he had a couple hits the game before. I always like to juxtapose him with Suarez because I just think Naylor's been the more impactful player since they acquired both. And him being able to steal bases, he made some great defensive plays at first base, like that one.
The counter to Naylor is he had no RBIs in the series.
Yeah,
and he had a terrible error in game 2 that almost lost them the game. So I think that's a debatable one, but but I'll roll with you on that. Probably there's a lot of pitchers you could choose from. Yeah. It's hard not to go Kirby. 10 innings, 3 earned runs, 14 strikeouts. You certainly could go Gilbert. And also you could go Munoz or Brash. Munoz 5 1/3. He didn't give up a run. Like, it's probably Munoz.
I think Munoz. Yeah.
It's probably Munoz. Yeah. I mean, he was good in everything that mattered and all these big moments. Kirby, I mean, the home run he gave up to Carpenter probably takes him off the list, although I might argue for Kirby to be on there above Naylor, to be honest with you. But once you're getting to the 5th guy in a series where you win in 5 games, I think it's probably harder to pick. So if you had to pick one, Kev, who would be your one Who would be the MVP of the series? Okay.
Polanco. Yeah, just no fear. Just his narrative matters too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We re-sign him, not thinking much about it. Like, okay, I guess we'll give it another shot. Like, this is the best we could come up with. Another year of Polanco.
Yeah. Do you remember also
the season on fire? Right. Yeah.
But do you also remember he was playing third base to start the season? Like that's what the experiment was, right?
Yeah.
And that was not great either because his knee hurt, even though he was on fire. I mean, there was a whole thing there.
Yeah. So,
Polanco, I'll go with you. Yeah. You get the game-winning hit in a 15-inning game, and you hit 2 home runs off Skubal in another game that keeps you in the game and allows you to win it. Yeah. Polanco's a good
Congratulations. You are the ALDS MVP sponsored by C-Town Sports. We'll send you a trophy in the mail.
Kev, before we go, the Kraken just won in overtime against Vegas with 4 seconds left. If my eyes were diverting off the screen, that's why, because I'm watching it on my phone.
You were watching it?
I couldn't help it. It was overtime. The Kraken are 2-0. First time they've ever won their opener for the season. They'd never done that before. And I'll talk more next week about what that looks like if we have time. But hopefully we don't, because the Mariners are awesome.
So keep on talking about the Mariners.
Yep.
It was a joy for you listening. Thanks for listening. I'll be in Seattle for ALCS home game 1 on Wednesday. Hopefully the Mariners are up 2-0 at that point.
Okay, we actually have to at least say hello in person.
Yeah,
because we'll both be at the
game. Picture.
He'll take a picture.
Oh, by the way, do you like the new cover art for our podcast?
I do actually. You know what? I didn't love the fact that you told me I had to smile for a picture, but we look a little bit more pro. You know, we look professional.
Yeah. You plug in your CarPlay podcast and you see our faces.
I saw it, and then I know it's amazing. I did have someone ask me this week at school if I was going to quit teaching to be a professional podcaster. So. I had to inform them that we make no money off of this and that you're the businessman behind us. So I have no control over that. So,
and no confidence probably as well, but
fair enough. What a great way to end it. No confidence in the podcast. Please listen and subscribe. All right. Episode 71 next week. Wildly enough, depending on when we record, it could be after the entire ALCS is over. That's how crazy
we could be talking about the World Series. Yeah.
Oh my God. All right, I can't. I gotta go. I can't.
All right. Talk to you next week.